Hello students, how are you? It's good to see you back again with me, Miss Mona Lisa Pasaribu. So I'm going to continue the material for English 3 for Diploma 3. And for this week, our material will be about a World Wide Web, and the grammar discussion will be about the giving advices. Okay, so let's check out the material for today. So as you can see over here in the outline for our video, the first one will have a quick review, and I will do the discussion for week 14, which is about a good website, and then a grammar discussion about giving advice, and we will do some practice. So in the review, some of you, based on our practicum session last week, I noticed that some of you are actually having issues with identifying the fault of the question. So here I'm giving you a question based on a problem. So there is a problem: my laptop works slowly. So what I want you to do is to diagnose this error by identifying what kind of fault can be the cause of this error. Remember, you are giving diagnosis on the faults. You're not giving the advices yet. Okay, keep in mind that you are giving the diagnosis of the fault, not the diagnosis of the advice, because the advice will be for today. Okay, so please post this answer in our YouTube comment. Give at least 3 diagnoses, and please use the expressions that we learned from last week. Now we come to the topic of World Wide Web. So www, and we say in Bahasa Indonesia www. Okay, so obviously we don't say it in Bahasa Indonesia because we are in English class right now. So we say www. So World Wide Web is www. So my very first question with this material will be this one. Okay, so what features make a good website? Make a list of key features that you may advise. So what do you think will be called as a good website? Is there any criteria that you think need to be fulfilled in order to be called a good website? Now for this question, I want you to post this answer in our discussion forum in eCourse for week 14. Okay, so the question for week 14 discussion forum will be this one. Post your answer in week 14 forum. Okay, so now we will continue with the reading for this week. The first text will be about trust text. So for this text, what I want you to do, I want you to practice the reading by recording yourself, and make sure you have investigated the words that you don't understand, the meaning or the pronunciation. And then later in the practicum session, I'll ask some students to play their recordings for this reading. So there are 2 texts over here. The first one is trust text, and the second one is map it. So please do recording on both of these readings, and then we will have a check later in the practicum session. So now we will go on to the topic of the grammar, which is giving advice. There are some ways, actually there are 6 ways that I have stated over here how to give advices. Okay, so the first one is using the models of should and could, and then you can also make advices using the imperative, and you can also use the expressions of had better, or giving the recommendation by saying I recommend you to, and then using the expressions of it's a good idea, and then also you say I suggest. And actually there are more expressions that you can actually use over here, but we are only going to focus on these 6 expressions. So let's check all the expressions one by one. So the first one is you can use the modal verb should. Okay, your navigation system should be based on the text links. So you can use should for I would say a polite advice expression. And then if you want to use imperative, then you need to also remember the pattern of the imperative expressions, which is you go straight to the verb directly. Okay, so you go to, let's say, if you want to say cut this or cut that, then you go to the verb directly. And if you want to go to the negative imperative, then you add don't, on, or never for the negative imperative. And you also need to make sure that when you're using the word avoid in the imperative, the verb must be followed by verb ing. Okay, so for example, when you say avoid use, then you need to say avoid using, or avoid taking, avoid cutting, and etc. Now for the expressions of had better, so had better is for advice which is close to a warning. So it's more like a warning rather than an advice. So it indicates something unpleasant will happen if the advice is not taken. So for example, it says over here, if you are committed to using frames on your site, you'd better commit yourself to some extra work too. So it means that when you're using frames, then it's going to take a while, so you better commit yourself, otherwise something bad or something not pleasant will happen to you when you are not doing the advice, something like that. Okay, and for number 6 and number 7 over here, the expressions of I recommend, and then also it's a good idea, and there's another one actually, I suggest. Okay, so you can also say I suggest, I recommend, and also a good idea. I think I recommend, it's a good idea, or I suggest has the same level of advice, but when it comes to had better, then I think it's more like a warning rather than an advice. Now a note over here, to make your advice more persuasive, you can also add reasons for your advice. So for example, when you say it's a good idea to visit a few larger sites to get some ideas on designing an effective site map, then you are actually being more persuasive over there because you're putting reasons behind your advice. So it makes more argument, you put more argument into your advice, so people will be more, I think, will take your advice more if you give reasons to it. Now for a quick exercise for you. So with the diagnosis that you have done in the review for today, I want you to give advice to each of the diagnoses. So the example over here with the problem, my laptop works too slowly, my diagnosis is, it sounds like the internal memory of your laptop is running low. Then my advice to that diagnosis will be, you had better upgrade the internal memory of your laptop. Now, of course, each advices need to be based on the diagnosis. So the advices that you will give will be different from for all of the diagnoses that you have made. So please write down your advices based on the diagnosis that you have made for this error. Now for practice 1, actually what I want you to do is to give the diagnosis, and this one you already did last week, and also give advices to the diagnosis that you have made. So it's pretty much the same activity like in the exercise, but this one I give plenty of errors, so there will be more variety of advices that you will give based on these faults. And then for the last practice for today, as an IT student, of course, you also can give advices towards an IT problem. And here I'm giving you the example of a problem in IT, and I want you to give advice to someone in order not to get his or her computer hacked. So you can always give other advices towards someone IT's problem. So this is just an example, and you can also give different advices depending on the problem that you are focusing on. So please write down your answers in your notes, and then we will discuss the answer later in the practicum session. Okay? And for the last activity for today, because our topic is about a World Wide Web, then I want you to go to a web page, any kind of web page, and give comments or advices when applicable in terms of the usability, the efficiency, learnability, safety, memorability, consistency, and information sent. So all of this are based on an IT perspective on advices. Okay, so usability, how useful the website is, the efficiency in terms of finding the information, how would you learn anything from the website, the safety, the memorability, consistency, and also the information sent. Should you have anything that you need to confirm or ask, you are most welcome to ask me later in the practicum session or also in our group chat. So for this one, this is actually the example of our website, www.del.ac.id. So I want you to look at, this is the example. You get the usability, learnability, efficiency, and the other criteria that I have given you in the previous slide. And let me know if there is any advices for this website in terms of the GUI or the function or anything else that you think needs to be improved from this website. Okay, now in this video, I'm also going to take time for discussion of assignment 2. So our second assignment for this semester will be in the form of quiz. So this quiz will be from week 9 until week 14, or sorry, week 13 or week 14. And then it is going to be in form of multiple choices or matching, and it will be done in e-course. So the conduct of this assignment will be around week 15, and I'm going to inform to you how we will do the quiz and the schedule, and also the what we call as the scoring or the marking scheme later on. Okay, so that's for the assignment 2, and for the details later will be informed in the practicum session. Just be prepared that we will have a second assignment in the form of quiz, and this quiz is actually also given by Mr. Joel in the form of e-course later on. Yeah, so that's for the second assignment. And for next week, everyone, we will be in the last week, which is review. So we're going to have a review all the materials from week 1 until week 14, and then we will discuss a little bit about what we are planning for our final term exam, and then we'll wrap it up together, and and then we'll summarize everything. Okay, so that's what will happen next week. And should you have anything to ask for the material today, you are most welcome to ask me in person or in group, and also you can also see the reference over here for the material for this week. And that will bring me to the end of my presentation for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for your coming and for watching my video. Hope to see you again in the last video, week 15. Goodbye, everyone.